How's it going, guys? Sports Checkdown back with another video, and this time I'll be covering my takeaways from the first 2 weeks of the NFL season. And I know I haven't covered the NFL in a long time. That's because there was nothing going on, and the NBA was having a bubble, and it was interesting. And then the playoffs started, and so I'm back with the NFL, and these are my takeaways from the first 2 weeks of what has occurred. And my first takeaway is the Arizona Cardinals and what a great start they've had to the season. And I know a lot of people are saying like the Arizona Cardinals played weak competition. I don't think that's true because they played the San Francisco 49ers, who at the time when they played the Cardinals, they were basically fully healthy. They were only missing Deebo Samuel, but that was their only issue on offense that they were missing, or not issue, but weakness because they didn't have him. But that was about it. So they were basically playing the 49ers at full strength, and I know they lost George Kittle halfway, or not even halfway through the game, like in the second quarter. But it was still a tough and gritty win because the defense was still the same. The only thing they changed out was uh, Javon Kinlaw, and I know he's not as good as who was there previously, but I mean that's what you were gonna expect because that was their new team and they were fully healthy and they beat them and they had a few mistakes on the game, but overall they played a good game. Uh, the Cardinals because they were gonna lose. It looked like they were gonna lose because I believe the score was 10-0 in the beginning and 49ers had a grip on them and then a black punt happened and just from there the floodgates opened. And then in week 2 they played the Washington football team who had a good outing against the Eagles and I didn't think they were going to be good, but you can't say they were a bad team because of how they played against the Eagles. And a lot of people had the Eagles as contenders. I didn't, but they played really well against the Eagles, and their defense was good. So you can't really take that away from the Cardinals because their offense looked legit in these two outings, which they did last year, but this time it just looks much better. And this time, along with their offense, their defense looks way better, much more improved. They had key pickups in Isaiah Simmons, Jordan Phelps, Devondre Campbell, along with Chandler Jones, Buda Baker, and Patrick Peterson. But the reason I believe they've gotten so much better on defense is because the offense is on the field longer and they're scoring, which puts a little less pressure on the defense, which really helps the defense because the Cardinals aren't going 3-and-out every time now, or not every time, but they last year when the Cardinals were on offense, they were going 3-and-out or they were scoring, but it was more 3-and-outs and they would have like little bursts. This time they have a lot of long drives. At least even if they don't score, they're still getting a first down or two, which is helping the defense. And then so that's about it for the Cardinals. And then the next person I want to cover or team is the Cincinnati Bengals, and more specifically Joe Burrow. I thought Joe Burrow in his first 2 weeks, he looked calm, he looked poised, he looked much better than Kyler Murray did in his first 2 weeks, except Kyler Murray did pick it up after the first half in his first game. But Joe Burrow from the beginning of the whole game against the Chargers and against the Cleveland Browns, he looked great. He made one rookie mistake against the Chargers, but that could be expected because he's a rookie, and that was actually his first game. And then on a short week, he went to Cleveland, who people are bashing Cleveland and saying they're not really good, but they played the Ravens, so they deserve a break, and they beat the Bengals after, who aren't a great team or a good team for that matter, but a win is still a win. And so Joe Burrow, though, he threw 61 times in that game, but he looked great overall. And a lot of people are saying Joe Burrow looked better than Baker Mayfield, which I have to disagree with because Joe Burrow, as good as he looked, he had like 4 or 5 plays where he was just completely missing his receivers. Not missing them, but he was off target with them pretty badly where they were open, but they just had to catch one-handed and things and like that, or had to really dive for it. And they scored a touchdown off that drive, so no one really looked much into it. But yeah, and people are saying, oh, the Cleveland Browns aren't playing good because they only won by like a score. But I would say one of their touchdowns, the Bengals touchdowns, were in garbage time, but it really helped Joe Burrow develop. So I'm not taking anything away from Burrow. I'm just trying to help out the Browns because I thought they were better than people were giving them credit for. And that brings me to my next takeaway, is the Cleveland Browns, who looked much, much better than they did in week one. And that was to be expected. They're playing the Cincinnati Bengals and in week two, while in week one they were playing the Baltimore Ravens. And so a lot of people were overreacting to the Browns' loss to the Ravens. I wasn't, because this Ravens team went 14-2 last year in the regular season, and so people had doubts about Cleveland already, and they just wanted to just harp on them even more. That's why they were kind of going down on Cleveland. While Baker Mayfield didn't play a good game, he didn't play a bad game, and they were just getting situated because they had Kevin Stefanski, who's a new coach who brought a new offense, and so they just had a lot to get used to, and so they now, against the Bengals, they got to have an easier opponent and they got to get their things in check. They were still penalized a lot, which I expect they'll clean up. Not much more, but I still expect a little bit of cleanup from that. And so the Browns, I think that you guys got to watch out for them. I think they're going to get one of the 7 playoff spots. I don't think they're going to be top 2 or top 3, but I think they're going to make the playoffs and they're going to compete in there. And people are already down on the Browns, and I don't see why, because I think Baker Mayfield has been playing good. I guess he's only played 2 weeks, so he played good in week 2. He played very average to a little below average in week 1, but he was playing a tough defense in the Ravens, and so in week 2, when he had the Cincinnati Bengals, he carved them up. He had one bad interception, but otherwise than that, he had a great game overall, and he looked much better than Joe Burrow, I would say, but that's because he has more experience than Joe Burrow. And the ball was just flying out of his hands quickly. He was doing beautiful throws, and he seemed to be making a connection with his receivers better than last year. With Odell, he hit him in stride. It was a perfect throw, perfect catch. And one thing I really took away from that game is Baker Mayfield's much more mature than he was last year, because that was one of his problems coming into the NFL and last year. His maturity. More specifically, there was a fight, not a big one, but there was pretty much, it was gonna become big unless someone separated it, and in came Baker Mayfield. Last year, Baker Mayfield would have gone headfirst to help out his teammate and just fight, which isn't smart for the team. I know it looks good, but it doesn't really look good at the same time. And this time, he was right there to clean it up. He pulled his teammate away, like, "What are you doing? We have a good game going on. We don't want to get a penalty out of that." And that just showed a lot of maturity in Baker Mayfield, and I just saw a very huge improvement in his leadership, which was a huge key in Baker Mayfield developing. And I just think the road is bright for the future is bright. I mean, for the Browns, because Baker Mayfield's looking better. The defense is looking a little suspect besides Myles Garrett and Ward, but I feel like they'll pick it up at least a little. I don't know how much, but I think they can at least get to a top 15 defense. And I would say Baker's a top 17 quarterback, and he's still developing. He can make it to the top 10 at least. I believe he has the potential to. And that's my takeaway from the Browns, and more specifically Baker Mayfield. And the last thing I want to cover is the MVP. So far, I've noticed, I would say, 3 front runners for the MVP. And I know it's early because it's only been 2 weeks and the MVP is a season-long award. But the 3 people I want to talk about is Russell Wilson, let Russ cook, Aaron Rodgers, and Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray hasn't been getting the national headlines he should be, because he absolutely carved up the 49ers. He looked like the best quarterback and player there, or maybe not. D-Hop might have looked a little better than him. But the DeAndre Hopkins trade was absolutely crucial for Arizona because it propelled Kyler Murray to an MVP caliber season so far, and an MVP one of the 3 MVP frontrunners. And so I already mentioned the Cardinals, and so Kyler Murray's been getting it done on the air and on the ground, and he's looked great. He hasn't taken any hits. Usually when I watch the games, I'm chewing my nails because I'm like, oh my God, Kyler Murray's gonna get hit. It's not gonna be good. But Kyler Murray has only been hit like 2 times, I believe. I saw the metric like that, and he's just looked great overall. The ball flies off his hands. He's got good connection with Cliff Kingsbury. They're dialing something special up in Arizona, and I believe they have the potential to go something like 12-4, 13-3, and I believe they're definitely going to go 5-0 in their first 5 games. And so that's my case for Kyler Murray. I'm not sure if he's going to win the MVP, but he has a pretty darn good case. And then the next two candidates, Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson, they've had hot starts, and they've been getting covered nationally a lot more. You see the let Russ cook, and he has been cooking. He carved up Belichick's defense. He's thrown 5 touchdowns against them. Russ has just looked amazing. They stopped depending on the run game, which was a wise decision because I believe Russell Wilson is the second best quarterback in the NFL right now behind Patrick Mahomes. And it's showing once they finally gave him the opportunity to throw the ball and have fun with it, the Seahawks just look much like a much more dynamic offense. And so I believe Russell Wilson is the front runner out of the three. And then in second place, I believe it's Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers has looked great also. Aaron Rodgers with the Packers, it looks like he was really pissed off that they drafted Jordan Love. He's been nothing but kind to Jordan Love from what I've read. But his play shows that he was not happy about that. Even though they didn't draft him a receiver at all or sign one, he has Devontae Adams and Marquez Scanley, and they've been playing great for him. And Aaron Rodgers has put up back-to-back 40 pieces, and I don't know, the Packers are looking legit. Last year, I didn't think the Packers were great. I just thought they got lucky with the schedule, and they damn near lost to the Seahawks, and I feel like they should have. Russell Wilson was playing a good game. They got lucky, and then they got wiped out of the gym, or I guess the turf, by the 49ers, and this year, they're looking legit, and I'm proud of Aaron Rodgers for not letting the noise get to him because people were saying he's washed up and all that, and now he's proven all the haters wrong, and now he's showing he's an MVP candidate again, and he has potential to be the best player in the NFL. And so those are my takeaways from the first 2 weeks of the NFL. Let me know if you guys saw anything different. Don't forget to comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe on the video. Thank you, and have a good day, guys.